Hi everybody, this is Rose of Sharon, and I'm back again with another movie review. I just recently watched Tulip Fever, which I absolutely loved. It's by the same director who was responsible for Shakespeare in Love, and the cast is just absolutely astronomical. Dame Dench is in it, and if you know me well, I am a huge fan of Dame Dench. Of course, Zach Galifianakis is in it. And I was surprised because I thought, is that really Zach? Because I love him, and I never expected him to be in a serious role like that. But this takes place in 17th century Holland. Of course, it's just at the very beginning of the tulip boom. And we all know how that ended, but it's still really intriguing. In the midst of the story of the boom in and of itself, there's a young girl named Sophia. She's an orphan, and she's purchased by a man. His former wife died, and his only desire in this world is to obtain a child. And back then, they really didn't have the technology that we do now, so most likely, I'm thinking that he was probably infertile, but they were unable to have a child. But in comes this painter, and he's a very roguish man. He's lusty and a bon vivant, and he steals Sophie's heart as well as the heart of Maria, which happens to be her maid. And her maid falls in love with someone. She gets pregnant, and of course, the husband thinks, Sophie's pregnant, I'm going to be a dad, and she has to make this ultimate sacrifice. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's really a fantastic movie. It's beautiful. The cinematography is gorgeous. I don't know if they filmed it in Holland, but just seeing the tulips, it just makes me nostalgic, because growing up I had a lot of tulips myself, so tulips take upon a special meaning for me. They're a very pretty plant, and I could see why they have such an appeal. At some point in time, I would love to go and see the tulips when they're in bloom, just because I've heard there's nothing that even comes close to the beauty of that, other than if you would go and enjoy sakura or hanami, which is similar, or wisteria viewing in Japan, which I would just swoon to attend the ceremony. People come from everywhere just to see the sakura. It's unbelievable. And the same thing goes for the tulips, and it's easy to see why. But they had one in particular. It's based on a lot of fact, even though Sophia was not a real person. There's a lot of historical accuracy into this, surrounding the boom and surrounding art, and just Holland in and of itself being, the port of trade, as it were. It's very interesting. It just is intriguing to see that time in history and knowing what was on the horizon. It just seems like such a intriguing time to be alive, although it would be terrible. I can't even imagine. They died a lot in childbirth, had tuberculosis and a lot of other complications. So I'm glad that we're in the present century rather than the past. The Tulip Fever is just absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend it if you're interested in Holland, the history of Holland, or the tulip, or just this sumptuous romance. It's a tragedy as well, but in essence, it's an object lesson. It's just, there are a lot of things that are happening all at once. There are different stories that just kind of interweave and intermingle and entangle themselves, and it's a very multifaceted film, but it can be enjoyed by all people. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful film. If you're an artist, you can gain something from it, like me. If you love flowers. Yeah, guilty as charged. I learned quite a bit about the tulip trade. I thought, whoa. It's just like poppies in Iran and all of that hubbub, and yeah, it's still actually that's still going on, but I'm not sure if the opium boom was happened similarly to the tulip boom. Something in me tells me maybe it did, but you can quote me. I don't know. I'm not an expert. All I know is that Holland has always intrigued me. I have a friend from Holland. Anna, if you're out there, hi. I miss you. Where are you? I haven't heard you. I haven't heard from you in years. Yeah. She told me a lot of stories about the red light district that were unbelievably true. And this takes place in Amsterdam, of all places, but Amsterdam was pretty happening back then, and actually it is now. And it's interesting because nowadays